I chased Sichuan for 10 years. It was not until the year I turned 30 that my family went bankrupt. Under a series of blows, I finally collapsed and drove my car into the lake. Sichuan rushed to save me at all costs. In the end, he ran out of strength and died with me. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back 10 years ago and decided not to be that bad woman who bullied others by relying on her power and forcefully changed his life trajectory. I will support you. When you earn money, you can pay me back 10 times the amount. I'm only interested in money, nothing else. Later, as expected, he became a young talent worth hundreds of millions of yuan earlier than in his previous life. However, he hugged me in his arms full of hostility, only interested in money. Right, be my wife, and I'll give you half of my fortune. When the cold lake water submerged my body, I wasn't afraid at first. My life had been so terrible that death became a kind of salvation. But I didn't expect Sichuan to come looking for me. He smashed the car window with his titanium alloy mobile phone again and again. It's no use, go back quickly, I shouted at him hoarsely. I had pestered him for most of his life, adding countless hardships to his originally smooth and uneventful life, but at the last moment of my life, I wanted to let him go. Sichuan was very stubborn. Once he made up his mind, not even 9 oxen could pull him back, just like before. When he said he hated my methods, no matter how eloquent I was or how many tricks I played, he remained unmoved. But I didn't expect that his stubbornness would not yield even in the face of life and death. As I watched him exhausted and sink to the bottom of the lake with me, I secretly thought in my heart, if I could start my life over again, I would definitely return his freedom and future to him and treat him with all my heart. The moment I saw Sichuan again, I knew what an empty promise was. In the stuffy and narrow back alley, Sichuan curled up in the corner, his handsome face, full of youthful spirit, had bruises on it, and I was mesmerized by him all over again. My cheap younger brother, who was good at pretending to be cute and pitiful at that time, had a sneaky smile on his face. Sister, I heard you have a crush on him, but he still doesn't buy it. You should have told me earlier. I'll train him and give him to you. I smiled silently. Is he trained now? I've trained him halfway. I went to the school of his deaf sister and took a few photos, and he obediently came with me. There has to be some wildness left to make it interesting. If he's too obedient, it's no fun. While Gu Lianqing was talking, I kept staring at Sichuan, watching his fists clench and then loosen. He was so pitiful, my proud and unyielding young wolf cub, at this moment, had his claws pulled out and his fangs ground down, allowing a beast like Gu Lianqing to step on him. So I mustered up my strength and slapped Gu Lianqing hard. My hand went numb. Who gave you the right to touch him? You've only been in the Gu family for 2 days, and you've already forgotten to abide by the law. Gu Lianqing was obviously stunned by my slap and even forgot to hide his fox tail. He gritted his back teeth, and it took a long time for him to force a smile on his face. Sister, you're in a bad mood today. Let's talk about it later. After Gu Lianqing left, I squatted in front of Sichuan and reached out to touch the abrasion on his face. He quickly shook off my hand, and his tone was full of coldness. Don't touch me. Sichuan 10 years ago couldn't control his emotions well. His happiness and anger were all written on his face, unlike later, when he was like a frozen lake. No matter how hysterical I was in front of him, he would only frown slightly and then say indifferently, "Stop acting crazy." Thinking of those unpleasant things in the past, I wasn't in a good mood. Let's go. Invite me to your place, otherwise, I'll call Gu Lianqing back. The rented room was damp and stuffy. Sichuan was wearing a thin white t-shirt and fixing the air conditioner. His clothes were soaked with sweat, and his firm back muscles were like a taut bowstring, making my mouth go dry. After a while, the old fan made a whooshing sound, and a gust of warm air almost made me faint. Sichuan walked down as if no one else was there and started doing his exercises on the greasy dining table. From beginning to end, he treated me like air. I opened his old refrigerator, which looked older than my grandfather at his age, and barely scooped out a few pieces of ice. I wrapped them in a greased paper bag to make a simple ice pack. Then I eagerly ran over to curry favor. It will heal faster if you apply it. He stopped writing and suddenly looked me up and down. Then he said seriously, I'm sure, I don't like your type. Ouch, what a harsh thing to say, but I'm a mature woman with a psychological age of 30 now. I'm not so easily provoked. Tomorrow is Friday. Are you going to pick up your sister at school with a bruised face? He was stunned for a moment and pursed his lips. She definitely won't ask you what's going on. She'll just tell you with a smile that she's doing well at school and then cry alone under the covers. As soon as I finished speaking, He Sherchuan snatched the ice pack from me. It's so easy to manipulate someone with a weakness. I felt my not-so-noble thoughts starting to stir again. Maybe my true nature is dark, and even if I start over, I won't become completely pure. So I stared straight at his two fair and delicate collarbones and threw out the bait again. Your sister's deafness can be cured, pick her up tomorrow. And I'll take her to the hospital for a checkup. He Sherchuan's sister, He Sherwei, has congenital nerve deafness. Only by having surgery to implant a cochlear implant can she regain her hearing. The surgical fee isn't extremely expensive, but for He Sherchuan now, it's still far beyond his means. As he listened to me, his expression didn't change because of it. Why are you helping me? I have a crush on you, you're so good looking, He Sherchuan sneered, and his eyes were as cold as frost, shining with a cold light. So what's the price? You pay the money. And I sleep with you. If this had been said in my previous life, I would have definitely nodded immediately. After all, half of the reason why I pestered him for so long was that I was lusting after his body, but now I'm quite calm, mainly because I've already had him. What kind of person do you take me for? I just want to have a proper relationship with you. Besides, you're at least a tall guy of 1.8 meters. Do you think I'd force myself on you? I didn't expect He Sherchuan to be so innocent. My words, which were as innocent as they could be, actually made him blush. At the age of 30 with a 20-year-old face, meeting He Sherchuan, who was also 20 years old, was really much more interesting than in my previous life. If it were Gu Xiangwan at the age of 20, she would only be eager to throw money at people. If that didn't work, she'd play dirty tricks and then blatantly declare her sovereignty. She looked arrogant and overbearing, but in fact, she was selfish and pitiful. I can't have died in vain. This time, I also want to learn what it means to win someone's heart and take my time. Your arm is also injured. Sit still. I'll make you something to eat. I said this seriously and then ran to the kitchen, ready to show off my skills. For someone like me who has lived a pampered life, doing manual labor can best show my sincerity. So I opened Douyin, found a 1-minute egg pancake tutorial, and started making food. Half an hour later, the pot was broken, and there was a massive charred and unidentifiable object inside. It was burnt on the outside and raw on the inside, with carcinogenic substances on the outside and salmonella inside. After thinking about it, I still served it on a plate and brought it to He Sherchuan. This is the first time I've cooked, although I tried my best. It's inedible. Don't deduct points from me because of this. I said I have a crush on you, and I mean it. I'll perform well and strive to be your girlfriend as soon as possible. After saying these words, I took off my apron and made an appointment for an expert consultation in the otorhinolaryngology department in front of him. I'll go back to the company for a meeting tomorrow afternoon. After the meeting, I'll go directly to wait for you at the school gate of Sherwei. Don't doubt my motives, because if I had any malicious intentions, with your current resources, you wouldn't even be qualified to sit at the same negotiation table with me. I thought I had shown enough sincerity and generosity, so I didn't care about his reaction anymore and planned to go home and deal with my father. I slapped that ungrateful wretch Gu Lianqing today. He must have gone back and told my father bad things about me. If you can really cure my sister, I won't owe you this favor for nothing. I'm not interested in having a relationship, but my body is at your disposal at any time. He Sherchuan looked serious, and his eyes when he looked at me didn't dodge. I should have said something big to dispel his doubts. I said I would take my time in this life. So why did it turn into a deal of money and sex again? But this time he brought it up himself. I've slept with He Sherchuan, but I've never slept with He Sherchuan at the age of 20. I'm really tempted, because I was thinking about what He Sherchuan said about being at my disposal at any time. I was particularly enthusiastic about getting He Sherwei treated. I drove to the door early the next day and waited, but He Sherchuan was even earlier, standing side by side with him outside the school wall. I had the feeling of going to pick up a child from kindergarten together. The little deer in my chest was going crazy. Don't worry, Sherwei's condition will have a very good result after the surgery. She will be able to regain her hearing soon. In fact, in my previous life, I paid for her surgery. After she regained her hearing, I signed her up for classes to learn to speak again. In the end, when I died, she had already become a rising star painter. However, probably because I used to bully her brother a lot in my previous life, she didn't have a good relationship with me. Before she could speak, every time she saw me, she could make sign language so fast that it left an afterimage. When she recovers, I will fulfill my promise. He Sherchuan seemed to think that I was reminding him not to renege on his debt. and he reiterated it expressionlessly. My old face turned red. And I said angrily, I said I'm not after that. He Sichuan frowned. You don't want to sleep with me. Of course I do. A woman at the age of 30 is very passionate, especially wanting to try a young and strong guy like him. But I want other things too. I want to try if in this life, if I open my mouth, spend money, don't do bad things, and chase him honestly, can I really win him over? As I was thinking this, He Shui rushed over like a gust of wind, and her hair swept past my ear, feeling like a big slap in the face. He Sichuan's face was like the melting of ice and snow. In 2 lifetimes, I rarely saw him look so sunny and happy. Family love is really great. I also smiled like a flower and took the initiative to greet her. However, I don't know sign language, so I could only poke He Sichuan in motion for him to introduce me. The brother and sister communicated in sign language, and I could only stand by and smile. Then we got in the car and went to the hospital together, and I felt like a driver again, anyway. Because of my memories of my previous life, I easily found the best doctor for her, explained her condition clearly, and even brought up the precautions myself. I was like a worried and responsible mother. After all this trouble, the doctor immediately came to the conclusion that she should be hospitalized immediately, and the surgery could be done next Monday. For such a simple matter, I tortured He Sichuan for a whole 3 years in my previous life, and I felt guilty myself. I typed on my phone, "Don't worry, this doctor is very authoritative, you'll be better soon." She also replied to me on her phone, "Why are you helping me?" I was stunned for a moment, and her expression immediately became vigilant, and her fingers fluttered. "Did my brother promise you something?" I was still hesitating how to answer when He Sichuan turned her around and started signing rapidly. Finally, she reluctantly put down her hand, but she still looked at me unfriendly. While He Sichuan went out to go through the formalities, I quickly tried to get on good terms with my future sister-in-law. "You have a really good relationship with your brother. He cares about you very much." She typed on her phone much faster. "We've always depended on each other for survival. Don't worry, I'm here to help you. And I have no ill intentions towards your brother either." I still wanted to tell her that I just wanted to chase her brother. But her phone was already in front of me. "He's not my biological brother. He was just raised by my parents, and we have no legal relationship at all." I stared at the phone for a while before I understood the meaning of these words. The shock at that moment was even greater than my anger. I just felt it was incredible. Why was the truth that was so casually revealed at the beginning of this life something I couldn't figure out even when I died in my previous life? I always thought that all his alienation, indifference, and harshness were due to his resistance to my unilateral suppression. I never thought that maybe he just simply didn't love me. My heart, which was full of enthusiasm, turned cold. Many things that I couldn't figure out before became clear. I was deceived by a name. With my stupid brain, what's the point of being reborn? Just thinking about how I had seriously confessed to him before. I wanted to find a hole to crawl into, just listen to the doctor and get treated well. I simply said hello and then left. There was nothing to be angry about. Since I was reborn, I should have stayed away from them. Fortunately, it wasn't too late to wake up. I'm a sophomore now. When I don't have classes, I also intern at my family's company. Leaving He Sichuan aside, I actually have a lot of things to do. In my previous life, I fought tooth and nail with Gu Lianqing. In the end, I gained control of the company with a narrow margin, but I didn't expect that what I got was a time bomb left for me by Gu Zhenhai. When the crisis broke out, Gu Lianqing went overseas with a huge clean deposit and lived a carefree life, while I was left with an empty shell company, burdened with debts and suffering from illnesses. In the end, I died in despair. It couldn't be worse than in my previous life. Right, back at school, I focused on listening to the class. Only by getting into the top 3 in my major could I be eligible to apply for a major transfer. I don't want to study business administration anymore. I have nothing to manage in business. I like traditional Chinese medicine. In the future, I can take people's pulses and diagnose their illnesses, and at the same time, I can adjust my own body. I don't want to be like in my previous life, becoming a medicine bottle at a young age. A month later, I saw He Sichuan again in the school library. This time, there was a warmth in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "My sister's surgery was very successful. The cochlear implant has been activated, and she's adapting well." Hearing him say "my sister," I felt like laughing a little. "That's good. You can also focus on completing your studies." He Sichuan was the gold medal winner of Li Qingtong's physics competition and the apple of the eye in the school's physics department. He originally had a bright future, however. In order to earn money for Sherway's surgical expenses, he missed too many classes and experiments. The teachers who had high hopes for him were extremely disappointed in him. I continued to flip through the identification of traditional Chinese medicine in my hand, indifferent to his affairs. Sherchuan also sensed the change in my attitude and frowned slightly. I said that if you could cure my sister, I wouldn't owe you this favor for nothing. He came to me to fulfill the promise. He was willing to compromise himself for the person he loved. It's hard to comment on this, no need. After not seeing you for a month, the novelty I had for you has worn off. Let's write off all the past things. Write off all the past things. Sherchuan stared at me with disbelief written all over his eyes. Oh ho, I'm letting him off the hook, so why is he still offended? Are you reluctant to part with me? I deliberately tilted my head and teased him. You were the one who said that you don't like my type. It's impossible to have a relationship, and only your body can be at my disposal at any time. Do you think I'm so cheap? I don't care about my dignity just to sleep with you once, right? As I spoke, my nasal voice became heavier, mainly, when I thought of those stupid things I did to chase him in my previous life. I silently felt that it wasn't worth it for myself. Why didn't he just say he had someone he liked? Was he afraid that I would hurt her? He just watched me make futile efforts and suffer inexplicably. I wrongly played the role of a villain for him, but he didn't even bother to tell me the truth. I had thought that since he sank to the bottom of the lake with me to save me at the last moment, he must have liked me to some extent. It turns out that he's just a kind person. Sherchuan was a bit confused by my sudden outburst of anger, and I didn't plan to explain anything to him. No matter how many grudges and entanglements there were in the previous life, in the end, they were all paid off with one life, leaving aside feelings. He is indeed a very good person. I didn't mean that. You helped me, and I want to thank you. Then just study hard, don't think about anything else. I was so annoyed by him that I couldn't focus on reading the book anymore. I packed it up and prepared to go back to the dormitory. Sherchuan reached out to stop me, looking hesitant to speak. Just say what you want to say, I said impatiently. Sherway still needs money for the follow-up maintenance of her cochlear implant, and she wants to study fine arts. I want to send her to an art studio for professional study. Could you please sponsor us some more money? I will pay you back in the future. So it was still about money after all this. In my previous life, I went bankrupt in the end and was burdened with debts. I knew the embarrassing situation of how a single penny could stump a hero, so I didn't look down on him because of this. What's more, with his academic ability and later investment talent, he would achieve great things in the future. To be honest, I don't have much talent in making money. In my previous life, I racked my brains but couldn't come up with a way to solve the financial crisis. Instead, I pushed myself into severe depression. I don't want to fight with myself anymore. Accepting that I have areas I'm not good at and making the best of my strengths and avoiding my weaknesses is the way to get along with myself. I will sponsor you another sum of money, but this is a purely business act. I require a contract to be signed. When you earn money in the future, you have to pay me back 10 times the amount. I'm only interested in money. Is that okay? It's a profitable business that's too good to pass up. He seemed to be surprised by what I said. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded. Since then, I consciously kept a clear distance from him, but it seemed that he would automatically appear in front of me every once in a while, always having something to ask me. Sometimes he would give me breakfast on the way, sometimes he would ask me about the preferences of a certain teacher, and sometimes he would use his position as the vice chairman of the student union to ask me for sponsorship. In short, he was just like those annoying flies that surrounded me. He didn't like me, yet he liked to provoke me. What a jerk. And my father finally called me home after receiving the first notice of my major transfer. What do you mean by this? Such a big thing as changing your major. Why didn't you discuss it with me? What's the big deal? I'm not cut out for business in the first place. Now I'm just returning to my true self. Not cut out for business. Gu Zhenhai's face turned green, and he spoke to me sharply. I've spent so much effort cultivating you to be my successor, and now you're telling me halfway through that you're not suitable for this. Ha! I couldn't help but sneer. Do you see me as your successor or a fool? You know best in your heart. I'm too lazy to argue with you anymore. Don't you like your precious illegitimate son? I'm taking the initiative to make way for him. What else are you dissatisfied with? Slap. My father's slap was quite loud. Lianqing told me that you were bewitched by a poor student, and I didn't believe it. Now it seems to be true. I have nothing to do with him. Transferring money to his account is just a normal sponsorship for him. You can check his academic performance at school at any time. What's wrong with my making an early investment, Dad? Why, don't love me? Perhaps from the moment this question arose, it never needed to be asked out loud. I went to the hospital to see He Shirchuan. Both of his legs were in casts, and he was lying pale on the hospital bed resting. He Shirwei was tearfully guarding by his side. Suddenly, she turned her head and saw me standing there, and immediately rushed towards me like a cannonball. There was another flurry of dazzling sign language, like making seals. Didn't you regain your hearing? Have you done any language recovery training? She was stunned for a moment and quickly took out her phone to type. Is it because of me that you took revenge on him like this? I ignored her and walked straight to He Shirchuan's hospital bed, then pushed him awake. He Shirchuan seemed to be extremely tired and opened his eyes reluctantly. When he saw it was me, his eyes immediately lit up. He forced a smile for me with great effort. His voice was still hoarse, but he still spoke to me word by word. You're here, I'm okay. I was too lazy to look at his sickly appearance and turned my head away, facing my back to him. What did the doctor say? Are your legs disabled? No, I will work very hard on my rehabilitation. Be smarter in the future and stay away from people you can't afford to mess with. I took out a thick envelope from my bag and placed it on his bedside table. This is for the medical expenses. And it's also the last sum of money I can sponsor you. I'm going to get married. So take care of yourself. Suddenly, my wrist was firmly grasped by a force. I turned around and saw that the smile on He Shirchuan's face had completely disappeared, replaced by deep paranoia. I'm not afraid, I will find a way. I laughed, and tears fell along with my laughter. Then I forced his fingers apart one by one. You see, it's you who doesn't have the ability to keep me. People who are incompetent are destined to bear the loss. Give me some time, believe me just this once. He hurriedly took out a USB drive from the drawer and said to me, this is the surveillance video from that day at home. It's evidence of his illegal behavior. We will always find an opportunity. Why should we admit defeat from the start? The Gu family has been in business for 3 generations and has deep roots. What makes you think that a single video can bring him down? Moreover, if it really does bring him down, I will have nothing left. What makes you think that I will betray my father for you? Have you been good to me? What have you given me? He Shirchuan, this time I'm sorry for you, but when it comes to feelings, it's me who refuses to forgive you. He Shirchuan still refused to give up. He struggled to get out of the hospital bed, but fortunately, He Shirwei stopped him in time. Walking out of the hospital, I felt a sense of relief as if I had nothing left. I even had the leisure to call that person when I got into the car. She was on the other side of the ocean, and it was probably late at night there. I didn't expect the call to be answered, but amazingly, this time she picked up the phone in an instant. Mom, I called out this strange word whose pronunciation even became off-key, and tears streamed down my face. Why did you give birth to me but then abandon me? You left me all alone in this world, so lonely. Without waiting for the other side to speak, I hung up the phone. There won't be any response that I want to hear. It's just that when people are helpless, they always miss their mothers, even if she doesn't care about me. I didn't meet the person my father arranged for me. Given that I had lived one more lifetime than others and knew some things that others didn't know, I found a good family for myself. Su Shuli, the eldest son of the Su group, was my fiancé with whom I had a pleasant cooperation in my previous life, and we hit it off again in this life. He had a first love who he held dear to his heart. Unfortunately, she was a third-tier actress from an ordinary family and couldn't meet the requirements to enter the Su family just right. He relied on me to open the back door for them. 3 years later, in a private luxury restaurant, a beautiful couple was sweetly having a candlelit dinner. There was also a poor guy sitting alone on the terrace on the 2nd floor, enduring the cold wind. Suddenly, there was a commotion and the sound of a fight downstairs. Su Shuli's weak screams were mixed in among them. There was also an angry and familiar voice. Scoundrel, how dare you betray her? I stumbled and rolled down, trying to save Su Shuli, but it was He Shirchuan who fell to the ground. He was pushed to the ground and couldn't get up. His metal walking stick was thrown aside, but his upper body still maintained an attacking posture. Not feeling at a disadvantage at all, get out of my way. Don't touch him. I frantically pushed aside Su Shuli's group of black-clad bodyguards and carefully helped He Shirchuan up. He Shirchuan looked at me as if he had seen a ghost. You were here, you let them do this right under your nose. Otherwise, do you think it's easy to be a wealthy daughter-in-law, as a nominal wife without a backer and not favored? What else can I do except whitewash the piece for my philandering husband, I said angrily. Su Shuli recovered and put on an act like an award-winning actor. Gu Xiangwan, clean up your own mess, if you dare to cause even the slightest unseemly incident. Don't blame me for being rude to you. When He Sichuan heard this, he wanted to rush up again, but I held him back tightly. Get out of here now. I turned my head and shouted at Su Shuli. He took the opportunity to leave, strutting out with his beloved. He even winked at me and thoughtfully left me the key card to their anniversary suite on the second floor. What the hell is all this about? Who wants to do this? Weren't you very tough when you kicked me away? How did you end up in such a situation? You were actually bullied like this when you're with someone else. He Sichuan was still speaking sarcastically to me, but my eyes were only fixed on his legs, which didn't seem to show any abnormalities. What about you? Didn't you say your legs were okay? Why are you using a crutch? Didn't you do your rehabilitation properly? His gaze was cold. Don't you think it's too late to care about me now? You didn't call me even once in 3 years. I thought you were having too much fun to think about coming back. How do you know I'm not? Su Shuli has a beauty in his arms. Can't I have multiple women by my side? A marriage without love also has the advantage of being free and unrestrained, I retorted without showing any weakness. So you're free and unrestrained now. What about me? With my inconvenient legs, I wonder if I'm still lucky enough to make you forget everything else for a while. After not seeing him for 3 years, this guy is now sharp-tongued. Indeed, in just 3 years, He Sichuan now is no longer what he used to be. He studied under the physicist Li Qingtong and has been studying in the United States for the past 3 years. He has developed an internationally top-notch brain-computer chip, which has greatly promoted the development of medicine and applied physics. With such a background, making money is just a side issue, not to mention in China, there are plenty of top international companies that have extended an olive branch to him. But he refused them all and insisted on returning to China to start a business from scratch. He received strong support from the local government, and now the enterprises under his name are valued at over 100 million yuan. With an even brighter future ahead, we were still not in the same world, but our positions had been reversed. Mister, he is joking, with your current worth, I'm afraid the women who want to stand by your side would fight tooth and nail for the chance. Such a minor flaw can only be regarded as a slight blemish on a piece of white jade. On the contrary, it's a kind of charm. Charm, his voice was alluring. I don't understand, teach me. He quickly picked up the room card that Su Shuli left for me, holding a walking stick in one hand and taking my hand in the other. He walked firmly towards the second floor. Fine, if it's about indulging in a moment of pleasure, I'll accompany him to the end. As soon as we entered the room, I took the initiative to take off my clothes. Considering his inconvenience with his legs, I even consciously unzipped his pants, but I failed. Gu Xiangwan, did I say this was how you should teach me, wasn't it? He had been flirting with me verbally for a long time, and anyone would have understood it that way. Now he was putting on such an expression at the last moment, I was a bit speechless. He Sichuan, are you a sore loser? If you can't take it, forget it. I put my clothes back on and turned to leave, but he trapped me in his warm embrace. Gu Xiangwan, are you an idiot? After being reborn once, you ended up living like this mess. I froze, looking at him in disbelief. He Sichuan, you're back too. He nodded, his gaze patient and eager. Then he let out a soft sigh and directly covered my lips with his. We had been apart for too long, and those passionate entanglements were still in the previous life, but he was not at all unfamiliar with my body. And he easily made me feel dazed with desire. My lips hurt from being bitten. He Sichuan didn't give me a chance to catch my breath at all. In his intense gasps, it seemed that there was overwhelming hatred brewing. Just like before, I suddenly felt very scared. Scared of exposing my body, scared of exposing my emotions. In such an intimate moment, people become unprecedented honest, whether it's love or disgust. It's clear at a glance. So I was always very afraid that those feelings of liking him that I had carefully hidden beneath the iceberg would be completely captured by him and then casually discarded. Not being able to get the one you love is really embarrassing. Close your eyes and focus. Someone pinched my chin, forcing me to accept him more completely. He didn't really have much skill, his actions gradually lost their rhythm, and he was left with just brute force. I didn't know anything. I just knew to follow him closely and be with him. I had forgotten those memories of liking him so much that my heart ached, but my body remembered. When everything calmed down, I was so tired that I just wanted to fall asleep as soon as I laid down, but this crazy He Sichuan couldn't settle down. he hugged me tightly and started talking. Fortunately, in this life, you didn't drive yourself into the lake. I'm content with that. Do you know why I was able to go to the United States? I really didn't know that, so I casually asked, why? He combed through my hair with his fingers and explained lightly, it was your mother who sent me there. All these years, she didn't contact you, and she didn't dare to, but she still secretly inquired about your life and tried to help you solve your difficulties. So what, is she a good mother? I retorted sarcastically, of course not. I just want to tell you that there's no absolute dead end in life. If you had been willing to look for her at the end of the last life, maybe things could have taken a turn for the better. Or, what if you had looked for me? At that time, I already had the ability. Why didn't you come to me in the end? I thought of that unbearable past, and I felt that the warmth in my body faded a bit. I wrapped the quilt around myself more tightly, trying to suppress the soreness in my chest, but I still couldn't hold back the heat in my eyes. He Sherchuan, I hate you, I said through gritted teeth with a trembling voice. He peeled me out of the quilt like unwrapping a rice dumpling and looked straight at my face, which was a mess from crying. Then he said softly, I'm sorry, did I make you very sad and wronged? Why didn't you come to confront me? Giving up your life without a word, was it a punishment for me? I shook my head. No, I was just too tired. I tried my best but couldn't hold on to anything. No one loved me. I didn't know where things went wrong. But I was just too tired. He Sherchuan, why didn't you like me? After such a long time, I finally dared to ask him face to face. He was silent for a moment, as if he was also trying to think about this question. Because I was stupid and didn't realize it, I defined the discomfort I felt when I was with you as not liking you. I was also too weak and didn't know what to use to resist the pressure from your family, so I could only keep running away. I thought at that time that I had to become strong enough to be worthy of standing beside you, not as your pet or your burden, but as someone who could stand side by side with you. I'm sorry, I was immersed in my own emotions and ignored your feelings. I didn't know you were suffering so much. My indifference wasn't towards you, but towards myself. I hated my own powerlessness. He unconsciously held me even tighter. It was the kind of panic after losing and regaining something. And he could only use all his strength to lock me in his arms so that I couldn't go anywhere. So this is what it feels like to be passionately loved by someone. It's like being soaked in warm water, feeling warm and cozy. But I didn't forget to ask about something else. What about He Sherway? Why did you lie to me that she was your sister? He didn't understand at first. After a while, he said uncertainly, she is my sister. Liar, I punched him angrily. You have no blood relationship or legal relationship with her. Why didn't you make it clear? He looked at me a bit wronged. It makes no difference to me. After my parents passed away unexpectedly, her parents took me into their home and treated me like their own son. If it weren't for them, I would have been living in poverty in some unknown place long ago. I've always regarded her as my real sister. Then why do you both have the surname He? Our village is called Hajia village. I was silent. It turned out that the so-called love rival was just something I imagined, and I thought I had discovered something important. Did you misunderstand something? What did Sherway say to you? No, I just accidentally found out that you two aren't biological siblings and thought you were deliberately lying to me. Then from now on, let's be honest and clear about everything, okay? Don't keep things to yourself and keep guessing. He was coaxing me patiently, and I almost fell for it. Fortunately, I came to my senses at the crucial moment. We're just reminiscing about the past. Who said there's a future with you? I'm Mrs. Su now. I kicked him and sent him tumbling to the ground. He Sherchuan climbed up from the ground with a confused look on his face. Even the madam in a brothel doesn't turn against someone this quickly. What nonsense are you talking about? I threw a pillow at his face, and then I ignored whatever he said and slept until dawn. He Sherchuan hadn't had such a satisfying encounter for a long time. After finally having his fill, he was so excited that he didn't know what to do with himself. Early in the morning, he arranged dozens of kinds of Chinese and Western breakfasts. He also sent someone to run errands to a nearby mall and bought more than a dozen sets of complete women's dresses. When I woke up from my sleep, I saw him acting like a male peacock, showing off everywhere and seeking praise. Crazy, just SOSO. After having breakfast and tidying up my makeup, He Sherchuan urgently wanted to establish our relationship. You two are in a fake marriage and live your own lives, right? Then let's find some time today to get a divorce certificate. We can't get one, I replied stiffly. Why? He Sherchuan's voice suddenly became tense and cold, and his eyes looking at me were fierce, completely lacking the tenderness from the previous night. I originally wanted to scare him. But I was so intimidated by him that I told the truth. We didn't actually get married. Where are we going to get a divorce certificate? It was a business marriage from the start, and neither side was really interested, so the wedding was held on a small scale in a hasty manner, and the wedding dress was rented temporarily. As for getting the marriage certificate, it was even more impossible. No one wanted to cause trouble for themselves. They colluded to make 2 fake certificates to fool their families, and that was it. Are you saying that you're single and available to be pursued? Sichuan was so excited that his tone changed. If he had a tail, it would definitely be wagging like a propeller at this moment, sort of. But if you really want to pursue me, you still have to perform well, only then will I consider it. After hearing this, he seriously knelt down in front of me and showed me his personal property on his phone. I still remember that when you sponsored me that money, you said you were only interested in money and that I had to pay you back 10 times the amount in the future. All these years, I've been desperately saving up my wealth, just in case one day if you didn't like me, you might still like my money. Don't worry about the Gu family, they can't do anything to you anymore. As for whether you want to stand by and watch or show mercy in the future, it's all up to you. Gu Xiangwan, be my wife. And I'll give you half of my fortune. I actually had a lot of things I wanted to settle with him, but nothing was more important than agreeing to him at this moment. Where's the ring? I tried my best to control my emotions, but I was almost about to blow a snot bubble. I didn't bring it. Just promise me first. Okay, I promise you. From now on, every word you say is evidence in court. If you go against any of it in the future, you will face severe legal punishment, I declared bluffingly. My fingertips turning white from gripping tightly. Xiangwan, you're more important than my life. I was deeply touched and was just about to continue pouring out my heart to each other, but Sichuan suddenly locked the door from the inside again and messed up the clothes I had just put on. It's no use, go back quickly. Sichuan, what are you doing? Didn't we just, yesterday, you scoundrel? Men have nothing but useless thoughts in their heads. He thought I was being too noisy and gave my butt a hard pat. Then he leaned over and coaxed me in my ear. Every time we did something serious in the previous life, it was like a fight, and we didn't start until we were in our 30s and our physical strength wasn't as good. Don't you want to try me when I'm younger? He did have a point. I tried it once, and then again. In the end, even when I cried and said I didn't want to try anymore, it didn't work. It feels like I was deceived again. But it doesn't matter, my life has never been easy, it's always full of uncertainties. But I've been given a second chance. Eventually, I found myself, and I also found you. Sichuan, I've rewritten the answer sheet of fate. This time, our future is full of hope. Story 2, before the implementation of the divorce cooling off period. My husband suggested we fake a divorce so that he could transfer the ownership of our old house to me and purchase a new house in a good school district under his name. I readily nodded in agreement and quickly drafted the divorce agreement. With a smile, he said, "Wife, you're so good to me. I promise we'll remarry as soon as the property deed is issued." I looked up at him with deep affection. "Husband, swear to me, if you deceive me, may you not die a good death." His face stiffened for a moment but then returned to normal. "Wife, I swear, if Gu Yan betrays Lin Yang, may I not die a good death." I slowly smiled, knowing soon he would fulfill that oath, because I had been reborn. When I opened my eyes, Gu Yan was holding my hand, intently showing me the floor plan of a house. My mother-in-law sat opposite us, nodding and smiling along. "Wife, look at this green court apartment. It's 120 square meters, has good ventilation from north to south. And it's in the new district. There will be a metro line in the future, and it's perfect for Yuan Yuan who's about to start kindergarten. The school nearby has excellent teachers." I cast my gaze down at the man who was passionately discussing our options. Anger surged within me when he mentioned our daughter. He brought up our daughter, and I was reminded of how in my past life he tricked me with a fake divorce to buy a house. Secretly mortgaged our old house, took all of our marital assets, and even took our daughter's custody. All this just to be with his mistress, Ding Min, openly and legitimately. He didn't just want me to leave without a penny, but also wanted me to carry a huge debt, stepping on me for their bright future. What's more outrageous is that this Ding Min was an intern I had mentored, whom I had even pleaded with the boss to hire permanently. Unexpectedly, she not only secured her position at the company but also in my husband's life. Thinking of my foolish past self, I almost wanted to slap myself. After Ding Min had a son, my daughter became an unwanted burden to everyone. Even so, when I wanted to regain custody, Ding Min sneered, Lin Yuanyuan is doing well in our house, she only eats twice a day, I'll just pity her and let her serve my son in the future. The lawsuit went round after round as they tried to keep their pockets tight. One avoided me, while the other spread rumors about me and the boss at the company. Forced into a corner, I made frequent mistakes at work and was eventually suspended to reflect at home. It was only when the loan sharks came to seize the house that I discovered Gu Yan had secretly mortgaged our old house 3 times behind my back, cashing out 2 million. I lost not only my daughter and my job but also the house and ended up deep in debt. In a moment of darkness, I was pushed by the loan sharks and fell down the stairs, and died right there. I suppressed the rising nausea, knowing I couldn't reveal my true feelings yet. I wanted my daughter's custody and for him to lose everything, his reputation utterly ruined. I dug my fingernails into Gu Yan's palm, causing him pain enough to jerk his hand away. Gu Yan, nursing his reddened palm, looked at me somewhat aggrievedly. Wife, what's wrong? I suppressed the anger in my heart, tears welling up, and took his hands in mine. It's not intentional, the house is great, but we don't have enough savings right now. A 70% down payment for a second property is required, and just thinking about our daughter makes my heart ache. After speaking, I covered my cheeks and began to sob softly. Our daughter Yuanyuan was still in my womb at that time. Gu Yan's mother insisted on coming to take care of me, claiming that hiring a nanny was a waste of money. She argued that she was agile and experienced, having raised 2 children herself. Gu Yan, being a filial son, naturally felt for his mother. After dismissing the nanny I had hired, everything seemed fine at first, with meals served regularly. Later, she took me to a private hospital for a 4D ultrasound, where the doctor happened to be her old friend. She informed her that I was expecting a girl. From then on, she subtly started suggesting that once I was out of confinement, we should start preparing for a second child. She was adamant about having a grandson, as failing to do so would mean losing face in her hometown. She even said that without a grandson, our family wouldn't be able to be buried in the ancestral cemetery. When I made it clear that I had no plans for a second child in the near future, her attitude changed completely. Whenever Gu Yan worked overtime, the only things on the dining table were cold dishes and plain steamed buns. I had no choice but to order takeout. What was worse, she would deliberately wait by the door to give my takeout to the stray dogs below. Struggling with poor nutrition and sleep, I gave birth to my daughter a month earlier than expected. The baby was already low on oxygen while in the womb, and although the doctor recommended a cesarean section, my mother-in-law obstinately refused to allow it. Eventually, my parents rushed over from Suzhou and signed the papers to proceed with the operation. Otherwise, it might have ended in tragedy. However, due to the delay, my daughter's health was compromised from birth. Gu Yan, aware of the underhanded things his mother had done, tried to appease me. He named our daughter Linyu. He also firmly insisted his mother move out and arranged for me to stay at the best postnatal care center. At that moment, I felt truly fortunate to have married Gu Yan, believing he was the partner I was meant to spend my life with. Who would have thought that in the end, he would drive me to despair? Influenced by his mother's preference for male children and her toxic ideology, I forgot the saying, like mother, like son. If the beam above is crooked, the one below can hardly be straight. In my heart, I devised a plan. In my previous life, I had often thought that if I could start over, I would leave them with nothing. Gu Yan pulled me into his embrace, feigning concern, and said, "Honey, the Zhang family downstairs just bought a new house. They put down a 35% deposit and saved tens of thousands in taxes." Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked up and half-jokingly asked, "But isn't there a limit on buying property?" How did they manage? In Haicheng, the policy is that the down payment for the first property is 35% with a deed tax of 5%, but for the second property, it rises to 70%, and the tax doubles. Singles can buy one property, and married couples can purchase a second one after marriage. Zhang Wang and his wife got a fake divorce, transferred their current property to his wife, and took out a mortgage in his name as if it was their first property. I hesitated. A fake divorce? Couldn't that be discovered? He playfully tapped my nose. "Silly wife, their process is all legitimate. No one can uncover it." My mother-in-law's eyes flickered with curiosity. "How much can they save?" Gu Yan mysteriously raised a hand. "Between the interest and deed tax, at least 500,000, that much." I covered my mouth in surprise. "And there's no risk?" "Not a bit of risk. Two people in love can't be separated by just a certificate, Gu Yan said, looking at me affectionately. This made my stomach churn. Suppressing my disgust at his greasiness, I looked back at him lovingly. You're right, husband, let's think it over. Hearing this, Gu Yan perked up immediately. Even his mother's eyes sparkled with an unusual gleam. He took out his computer and started tapping away on it. We need at least 65 million ready, 10 million total, 5 million in taxes, and a 5 million down payment. How much do you have in your account, honey? As I observed his intense gaze, I slightly furrowed my brow. I've got about 1 million in this card. What about you? He paused, seemingly surprised by the meager amount in my account. His mother was the first to react excitedly. You've been working for 7 or 8 years and you're a director. How come you have so little saved? I wiped the corner of my eye and explained. In the past few years, my younger uncle back home needed money to build his house. And Mom, you said since he has no other relatives, we should support him as a matter of honor. His family needed 300,000, and we agreed they would pay it back in 2 years. Gu Yan's money was tied up in the stock market, so we took the 300,000 from my account. Also, I've been covering Gu Tingting's tuition from high school and her university tuition and living expenses every month, which amounts to about 50 or 60,000 a year. And Mom, all those supplements and health medicines you take, along with the regular nursing home fees, cost about 70 or 80,000 a year. My mother-in-law awkwardly laughed. We're all family, and it's your duty to contribute. Isn't 1 million enough? I smiled. Well, there's Gu Yan, who works in a foreign enterprise and earns no less than me, about 500,000 a year. Over the past few years, he only took 100,000 a year for household expenses from home, which should have saved up almost 300,000. Adding to my million, that's enough. Gu Yan looked embarrassed, occasionally glancing at his mother. Honey, all my money is tied up in the stock market, and I've lost a lot. I knew he was lying. Half of his money had gone to his mother, and the rest he spent on Ding Min. He probably had only about 700 or 800,000 left. He originally planned to benefit without investing anything, so I decided to pull the rug from under his feet. If it really comes down to it, we don't have to fake a divorce. Let's just sell this old house. That should cover about 70% of the cost. Gu Yan and his mother spoke at the same time. No way. I lowered my gaze. Clearly, mother and son were united. And it seemed she knew about her son's affair. What's the matter? If we sell it, where will your parents live? As a daughter, could you be at peace with that? My mother-in-law earnestly advised. You're right, Mom. My own mother even contributed 1 million back then. We can't sell it. I bowed my head, pondering, and mumbling as I wrote and calculated. It would be great if I could shift 2 million from somewhere. My performance next month is bound to be good. I could apply for an advance on my year-end bonus. Right after I finished speaking, my shrewd mother-in-law immediately chimed in. Son, Xiaoyang, I still have some emergency funds left from your father's accident insurance payout. Let me take it out to help you bridge the gap. Moved by her words, I shook my head repeatedly. How can we take your money? We can. We're family. She insisted eagerly on giving the money. I knew Ding Min was desperate. She had threatened Gu Yan that if he didn't kick me out, she would abort the baby, depriving the Gu family of a grandson forever. I hesitated for a moment, then smiled. We can't just take Mom's money for nothing. How about this? Mom gives the money, and we transfer the old house into Mom's name. Once I get my bonus, I'll pay it right back, so it won't delay Yeye's school enrollment. Hearing this, Gu Yan's furrowed brows immediately relaxed, and I silently scoffed in my heart. He had already cashed out 500,000 from this house once. The horror of usury lies in its compounding interest. In just a couple of months, the amount can multiply several times. This house has always been a ticking bomb in my possession. Putting it under his mother's name, he surely wouldn't fail to save his own mother. Once the issue of the house and money is resolved, the next discussion will be about the custody of our child. My child is my weakness and my obsession, in this lifetime. I will never let Gu Yan take her away from me. The child will be mine. I printed a divorce agreement template from the internet. Honey, check out the linked news below. It's quite something. I handed my phone to Gu Yan, displaying the news. Man deceives woman with a fake divorce and schemes to take custody of the child. Mother faints crying outside the court. Gu Yan's face changed, his smile turning ugly. This is truly despicable. Deserving of the deepest hell. Well said. I love hearing that. Curse more, and die sooner. My husband would never do such a thing. Let's write our divorce agreement based on this template. It's fake anyway, doesn't count. I showed him the agreement, and my mother-in-law also peeked over, pausing when she saw the clauses. Custody of the daughter remains with the mother, with a monthly support payment of 10,000 until the child turns 18. Visitation rights are granted to the mother, and the father may not visit privately. My mother-in-law didn't look pleased. Xiaoyang, this template seems unreasonable. Gu Yan nodded. I patiently explained, Mom, we're not really getting divorced. The child support written there is just a formality. We're all family. Would I really ask Gu Yan to transfer money? My mother-in-law was still a bit doubtful, but my husband slightly nodded at her. She immediately fell silent. All right, let's draft it like this, wife. If you have any other demands, just let me know. Gu Yan patted his chest, looking sincere. I weakly lowered my head, wiping the corner of my eye. A few days ago, my mom called saying she missed Yaya. When Yaya was little, she couldn't sleep flat due to her health issues and had to be held for over a month. She's grown so much, and we haven't properly visited them back in Suzhou, although we're fake divorcing now. If someone with ulterior motives tells Yaya, it would upset her. I want to send her to my mom's for a few days. Hearing it wasn't another demand, Gu Yan immediately relaxed. That's a minor issue. Yaya's kindergarten is on holiday. We can take her to Suzhou for a couple of days. I smiled. Honey, your company is busy, and since we're buying the house, I'll ask my mom for some more renovation money. I can take Yaya back myself. It's awkward for me to ask her. Gu Yan wanted to say something more, but my mother-in-law nudged his leg under the table. That's good. Go back and spend a couple of days with your mom. I printed 2 copies of the divorce agreement. He signed them readily. Gu Yan smiled, raising his eyebrows. Wife, you're so good. I promise as soon as the property deed is issued, we'll remarry immediately. I looked up deeply into his eyes. Husband, swear to me, if you lie to me, you won't die a good death. His expression stiffened for a moment before returning to normal. Wife, I swear, if Gu Yan betrays Lin Yang, I cursed him. Wishing he would never find peace, soon enough, his actions would come back to haunt him. Moreover, why would anyone want to remarry him, a man as desirable as a used and discarded cucumber? I found the very thought repulsive. Mom, remember how you've always wanted to visit Yunnan? I've signed you up for a tour group. Once we finish transferring the house ownership, you can go and enjoy yourself for a few days. My mother-in-law's eyes crinkled with joy. I got up and walked towards the bedroom. In my past life around this time, I had also booked her on a tour group, hoping to mend our strained relationship, since she'd be looking after Yuan when she started school. Unexpectedly, during her trip to Yunnan, she got into a fight in a jade shop and smashed several bracelets, which ended with her being detained by the police. To bail her out, I rushed to Yunnan overnight, paid nearly 150,000 yuan, and had to humbly apologize to the shop owners. By the time I returned, Gu Yan had bought a house. He had also married Ding Min, who took advantage of my absence and hid my daughter Yuan. She even spread rumors in the neighborhood, making the neighbors think I had abandoned my family for a lover. She even posted insinuating videos online, threatening and tempting, misleading my daughter into thinking I didn't want her. Yuan was seen desperately crying for her mother in the video. I was viciously attacked online, subjected to a so-called cyber lynching, and branded as immoral. What broke my heart even more was that from that day, I lost contact with my daughter for 2 long years. Yuan was always well-behaved, with fair skin and dimples that appeared when she smiled. Warm and endearing, all I could do was sit in our old house, looking at her photos. Filled with love for her and hatred for Gu Yan's family, as I endured the long days, I thought I would see brighter days, but instead, I faced a despairing abyss. Only after death did I realize that a soul has weight. My obsession was my daughter Yuan. I couldn't rest in peace without seeing her. Before fading away, I was drawn to where my daughter was. She was in a cramped storage room, less than 4 square meters, without even a bed. In a corner, a yellowed quilt was messily piled up, its torn edges exposing the dark gray cotton inside. There, my daughter Yuan curled up on the quilt, resting her head on her arms. When Ding Min took her away, she was 4 years old, clean and beautiful. Now, at 6, she was thin with rough, peeling hands and faint bruises on her thighs. Her once bright eyes were now dull and lifeless. My soul trembled with pain. Yuan, it's mommy, my baby, look at mommy, it's all my fault. Yuan seemed to sense my presence. slowly lifting her head and groping in my direction. Her voice was hoarse. Mommy. Her small body suddenly fell onto the quilt, tears at the corners of her eyes, her hands tightly clutching a worn toy bear. Mommy, it hurts. Yuan. Even though I screamed and tried to get closer, there seemed to be an invisible barrier between us. I could only watch helplessly as she fell, powerless to do anything. Mommy, when will you come to get me? I've been so good, why haven't you come yet? I hated my weak and foolish self. Gu Yan and Ding Min knew that as long as they had Yuan, I would be powerless. I am left powerless and unable to act. They cruelly exploit my weaknesses, tormenting me deeply. In their eyes, my daughter is nothing but a tool, to keep me from finding Yuan. They locked her in a cramped storage room, denied her kindergarten, and physically tormented her. She's only 6 years old. My heart is bleeding, my body constantly crashing against barriers. The loud wails of children can be heard from outside. Footsteps grow louder as they approach, thunderous, and at the sound of slippers, Yuan crawls desperately into a corner, begging softly, Auntie Minmin, please don't hit me, I was wrong. Ding Min kicks the door open and storms in cursing, little beast, can't stay quiet for a second, why the noise? Your mother doesn't want you, nobody wants you, you're just a liability. Her large frame blocks the narrow doorway, the bright light from outside casting a monstrous and terrifying shadow. Behind her, my mother-in-law gently soothes her plump grandson. Min, if the child is disobedient, she needs to be beaten. Spare the rod and spoil the child. This cursed girl still thinks of her unlucky mother. Ding Min's frown relaxes as she grabs a leather belt hanging near the door, her disgust apparent yet tinged with a hint of excitement. The belt whips through the air, striking my daughter's leg. Her screams of agony piercing the moment. Don't hit me. It hurts so much. Yuan's cries trigger the chubby boy to start crying too. Ding Min gets even angrier, her expression darkens. Cry, just like your mother, who looks down on us country folks. What's so great about being an only child, flaunting her husband's Chanel purchases, saying I have poor learning skills and am frivolous. But didn't I still marry your father and become your mother? I have the right to hit you because you're just a girl. I frantically crash against barriers, screaming silently, just because I kindly advised her to not just live for her family, to love herself and strive for better. Every time her brother asked for money, she would skimp and save, sending back her internship salary, living on plain buns and bottled water. By accident, I wounded her fragile pride, and after speaking with the boss, got her a permanent position early, yet, she harbored resentment, even destroying my family and my daughter. It turns out that no matter how you try to guide those inherently poor and lowly, it's futile. When Gu Yan returned from work, he was met with a chaos of crying. I looked at him pleadingly, hoping he could at least stop the frenzied Ding Min. Unexpectedly, his face was cold and indifferent, merely saying, keep the noise down, we've been complained about. The community committee will come knocking, and it's troublesome. This man has been part of my life for half of it, from college to marrying and having a daughter. I'd been with him for 12 years and yet never saw through his cold-heartedness. I remember back in college, he wore his faded clothes, standing at the student union door, asking the president for a part-time job. His tone was pleading, yet he stood straight and firm. Even when the club president finally refused, he simply said thank you with a faint smile. His demeanor conveyed a spirit that was not impoverished by his circumstances, which deeply moved me. The moment he turned his head, the cold expression between his brows caught my eye, and it felt like an eternity in a single glance. Later, I helped him find a job organizing books at the library. During our free time, I loved to tease him. Hidden behind the bookshelves in a secluded corner, I would steal a kiss on his lips. We fell in love, he said. Xiaoyang, you will always be my favorite, now. However, in his eyes, our daughter Yaya is nothing but a nuisance. Anger swept through my body, and the wind howled outside the window. The chubby boy was so frightened that he passed out. Their whole family couldn't bother with Yaya anymore. They hurriedly dressed and took the child to the hospital. I watched Yaya curl up under the worn blanket, holding the little bear I bought for her. She sobbed softly, Yaya will run away. Mom won't leave Yaya behind. My heart was breaking, and I hated that I couldn't personally punish the heartless beast that hurt her. In a daze, I finally broke through the barrier. I embraced my frail daughter and murmured, Mom loves you. A sigh echoed in my ears. Then I'll give you another chance, cherish it. Every time I think back, my heart aches. Pinching the travel guide between my fingers, I opened WeChat and found travel agent Wang from Company A. Changed the luxury Yunnan tour to a Pinduoduo shopping tour for me. Agent Wang replied quickly, "Sister, that tour is all about shopping, not much sightseeing." I said, "Yes, my mom just wants to spend money, she loves those jade bracelets." Agent Wang's typing indicator lingered for a while, then he slowly replied, "Okay, I'll make sure Auntie has fun shopping." He promptly refunded the difference between the two tours. The luxury sightseeing tour would have cost over 20,000 per person, but the shopping tour was only 3,000. With the leftover money, I planned to buy my mom a sturdy gold bracelet, indestructible. I handed the travel documents to my mother-in-law. "Mom, have fun next week. I've arranged one-on-one service, just let them know if you have any requests." My mother-in-law, usually domineering, had always looked down on our previous maid. Acting high and mighty, she seemed to think that since I was spending money, I could play God. She smiled joyfully. "Traveling costs too much. What if I see something I like? I, an old lady, won't have the money to buy it." I lowered my gaze and pulled a platinum credit card from my wallet for her. "Mom, this card has a limit of 500,000, it's accepted everywhere. Buy whatever you want." Gu Yan was chatting on the balcony, his eyes crinkling with laughter. It seemed he couldn't wait to report to Ding Min. Without changing my expression, I continued, "Mom, keep the card safe and don't let Ian find out. He'd complain again about buying those useless stones." My mother-in-law took the card, her tone softening. "Yes, that stinky boy never thinks of his mom, always thinking about his wife." She realized she misspoke and abruptly changed the subject. "But my daughter-in-law is good, like a daughter, really thoughtful." I smiled naturally. After all, it wasn't my card, and I wouldn't mind if the old lady maxed out her son's card. Originally, this card was a mandatory allocation from their company. Gu Yan thought the card fees were too high, but I thought it was good to keep for emergencies, and now it had come in handy. My mother-in-law said, "I'm leaving now, but who will feed the little yellow cat downstairs?" I snapped back to reality and smiled. "Mom, I'm here, even though I'm divorcing Gu Yan. I'm not leaving the house, and feeding the cat is no trouble at all." Gu Yan finished his call, looking refreshed as he came out, picking up the suit he had left on the sofa. "Honey, something came up at work, I need to step out." I stood up to straighten his tie, asking, "Will you be back for dinner?" "No, I have to entertain clients with drinks." Internally, I scoffed, entertaining clients, or rather celebrating with Ding Min that he's rid of his legitimate wife. Celebrating their perfect little family of 3, fulfilling their wishes. Can happiness built on the suffering of others truly last? I sneered and yanked his tie forcefully. Gu Yan slapped my hand away, his face turning red. "What's wrong, dear?" I forced a smile, just excited about moving into the new house. He bent down to kiss me, but I turned my head away. Who would want to kiss a rotten cucumber? I was afraid I might bite his tongue off. "My lips are peeling, it's uncomfortable." Gu Yan gently touched my head, his eyes filled with sympathy. "Seabrand's new lip balm is quite good, you should try it." Ha! As if a man who quibbles over every small expense would actually buy a lip balm that costs over 1,000. After Gu Yan left, my mother-in-law couldn't wait to convert her fixed deposit to a checking account. Suddenly, the house felt empty. I quickly went to my computer and logged into the iCloud account I had set up for Gu Yan, for his birthday last year. I had bought him a new iPhone and even set up 2 terabytes of cloud storage to automatically save his data, but just 2 months later, after a business trip, he claimed he lost the phone and complained about not liking the iPhone, so I got him an Android instead. Later, I discovered Ding Min flaunting the latest iPhone model. Back then, I naively asked her, "Ding Min, that's the latest model, over 10,000, right? Finally treating yourself well." Her face was full of joy, a smug look in her eyes. "It's a Qixi festival gift from my boyfriend." After logging in, sure enough, the cloud storage showed 200 gigabytes used. I opened the photo stream and indeed found numerous vanity shots of Ding Min, along with several explicit photos taken while Gu Yan was asleep. I was even shocked that Ding Min was foolish enough to upload them directly using Gu Yan's account. Going through the photos one by one, I gradually pieced together the timeline. It all started the day I asked Ding Min to pick up Yaya. It was raining, she didn't have an umbrella, and was pitifully hiding at the nursery's entrance, her white blouse nearly see-through. Gu Yan merely draped his suit jacket over her shoulders and bought her a warm milk tea. That was when Ding Min started harboring ulterior motives, one intent on seduction, the other curious about a fling. I saved those disgraceful photos and backed them up onto a USB drive. Then I casually used a phone harassment website, spending 50 yuan to enter Gu Yan's phone number. For the next 12 hours, he would receive endless spam messages. I had told him before, Android phones, with their open sources, have privacy like transparent underwear. It looks covered, but in reality, it hides nothing. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, a strange call came through. Guyan's groggy voice came on the line. "Honey, my cell phone broke down. I pretended to be a devoted wife. Is everything okay?" "It should be fine, I've turned it off." "Honey, I have to work late tonight and won't be able to come home." I gave a forced laugh, my acting poor, yet my tone was filled with concern. "Then take care of yourself." After hanging up, my first thought was that this unfamiliar number belonged to Ding Min. I pulled out a spare phone to search the number and, sure enough, a female profile picture popped up. I clicked on it and there was Ding Min. I clicked to add her. "I'm the loan department manager at XX Bank," I sent the message. Uncertain if Ding Min would accept, but I was half sure she would. They must be eager to find out how to buy a house. I tossed my phone aside. I logged into Guyan's WeChat. The first account was clean, nothing there. I suddenly remembered that when I had the broadband installed, they provided a number. I tried logging in with it, and sure enough, there was his photo. At first, I thought Guyan was aloof, but it turned out he was just insecure and sensitive, coming from the countryside. He knew very little, so he put on a cold front to cover up his fragile self-esteem. Even now, he was still the same. I was the one who originally set up his WeChat account, using a password he'd gotten used to over the years and never changed. I tried it and got in immediately. I thanked him for his laziness. Over the years, I really spoiled him, thinking that a beggar in a suit could hide the stench clinging to him. The chat history meticulously recorded each of their schemes. At first, it was just Ding Min sharing her daily life. Gradually, Guyan lost himself in the dreams Ding Min wove for him, praised repeatedly by her. He was lifted high, until Ding Min got pregnant. "I'm pregnant, but don't worry, Yan bro. I'm right outside the hospital. Just say the word, and I'll get it taken care of." "How could you be pregnant when I took precautions?" Ding Min sent a koi emoji. "Yan bro, you forgot. That day I wore a sexy skirt, and you were all over me. We didn't take precautions that day. I can't get divorced, but Min, I don't want to hurt you either." What a convenient thought. Unwilling to let go of his own home while also desiring the wildflower outside. "Yan bro, I understand, but it's a boy. I can't give him up. We both come from the countryside where boys are favored over girls. What if I can't have a boy if I remarry?" Reading this chat made me feel nauseous. It was a disgrace to the simple and unpretentious image of rural people. It was clearly her own deep-seated preference for boys over girls. Despite being a woman who had endured much hardship in life, she ended up just like her mother. All for the sake of bearing a son. "Who do you plan to marry?" "Carrying my son." "I won't allow it. You're my woman, and my son can only have the surname Gu." "What should we do then? Lin Yang is so dominant, you'll end up with nothing." "Don't worry, I'll find a way." His method was to exploit my sincerity, deceive me into a sham divorce, and use our daughter, yeah, as leverage. He set traps for me, watching as I sank deeper into the mire while he soared to success. All the evidence was preserved. I logged out of WeChat and packed Yaya's luggage overnight. Just in case anything changed, I contacted my best friend, Jianing, and told her I was tied up with some matters for the next few days and asked if Yaya could stay with her. Jianing had been the only one who stood by me unfailingly in my previous life. She had always helped me gather evidence, standing with me in court time and again. Checking the time, I took a deliberate shower. I patted my cheeks and took a deep breath nervously, pacing back and forth at the nursery school gate. My daughter, Yaya. After more than 700 days, I could finally hold my beloved again. At the nursery, music played and the children, led by their teachers, stepped out in adorable little strides. Yaya was wearing a creamy yellow outfit today, waving frantically at me. Tears moistened my eyes. She politely waved goodbye to her teacher and ran into my arms. "Mommy, Yaya missed you so much." She was carefree, unable to contain her longing even after just a day apart, and I, after more than 700 days, finally held her in my arms, smelling the faint scent of milk on her. "Mommy loves you so much too." At that moment, I truly felt alive. I could start over. My daughter is my weakness, but also my armor. I vowed that those who hurt her in my past life would not have a good end. I took my daughter to Pizza Hut, ordering her favorite pizza. She looked up at me with her big round eyes, puzzled. "Mommy, Grandma will be angry if she knows. My mother-in-law despised fast food." ridiculing it as just a Chinese pancake with a couple of slices of meat sold for over 100, yet she, herself, couldn't fit her fake gemstones in her drawers and still preached, "Jade nourishes the body, what do you know, her tens of thousands worth of jade for nourishment, yet my daughter isn't worthy of 100 yuan pizza, from now on, if Yaya wants to eat, we'll eat, don't mind her," I said, caressing her cute Neza-style hair, filled with love, after eating a slice of pizza. Yaya turned to me with a sad look. "Mommy, did Yaya do something wrong?" I was puzzled. Last month, Daddy took me to eat pizza, and I didn't tell you," I laughed. "That's nothing, but we were with Aunt Minmin, and she said it was our little secret." I paused, stunned. Since coming back, many memories were a bit jumbled. Last month, Ding Min took over a small project, she led it, and I assisted from the side. I wanted her to achieve good results. To earn the bonus and become permanent sooner, our company differs from others. There's a 6-month internship followed by a 1-year probationary period. After becoming permanent, the salary doubles. I pitted her for her family favoring sons over daughters, pitted her living her whole life for her brother, yet she coveted my life, wishing to replace me and rise instantly. "Mommy, I saw Aunt Minmin's foot on Daddy's lap, and Daddy said she had a thorn in her foot, but I think that's wrong. Daddy's lap should only be for Mommy." Yaya was serious, her child's world starkly black and white, never gray. My hands gripped tightly in my lap as I spoke solemnly. "Yaya, Mommy has something important to tell you. Do you trust Mommy? I've never considered my 4-year-old daughter too young. I always teach her to distinguish clearly between love and hate, and to be fair and just in her actions." Yaya tilted her head and looked at me with innocent eyes. She scampered off her seat, ran over, and hugged my waist tightly, saying, "Yaya will always love Mommy." With tears held back, I whispered, "Mommy and Daddy are going to separate." Before I could cry, she began to sob. "Mommy, Yaya had a dream last night. I dreamed that Daddy was with Aunt Minmin. She hit me, and Daddy kicked me. It hurt so much. I don't have a home anymore. I want to stay with Mommy." I saw the determination in her eyes. It dawned on me that Yaya, too, had undergone a rebirth. But because she is so young, she thought it was all just a dream. "Why don't Yaya go to Aunt Jiangying's house to play for a couple of days? After Mommy finishes handling things, we'll go back to Suzhou to find Grandma." Okay, we fed each other, savoring this hard-earned moment of mother-daughter bonding. I handed my sleeping daughter to Jiangying, her face clouded with worry. She asked, "Yang, what happened?" I replied, coldly composed, "Guyan cheated. And he's trying to steal our joint assets. That scoundrel." I knew he was no good. Jiangying was furious. "Last week I saw him at CJ Mall buying something from brand C, and I thought, he's too stingy to buy anything nice for you, must be for his mistress." After saying this, she rolled up her sleeves, ready to confront him. I couldn't help but laugh and hugged her. "You are so kind, but I already have a plan. There's just one thing I need from you. You just say the word. Whether it's to chop up that mistress or to handle it online, please take Yaya to my mom's, help them rent a new place, and make sure Gu Yan doesn't find out." I handed her Yaya's household registration book and ID card. "And what about you? I'll come back for you once they're settled." "You're not to be alone." I nodded. "Okay." After ensuring my daughter and best friend were safe, I immediately sought out a private detective. Money talks. In my previous life, gathering evidence was incredibly difficult due to lack of funds, but in this life, looking at the string of zeros in my bank account, I felt reassured. Our company had a profit-sharing plan, and I always reinvested my annual bonus. In my past life, I had shared all my financial information with Gu Yan to scrape together a down payment. This time, I wouldn't make the same mistake. He didn't know about the money I had. I spent 200,000 for a private detective to monitor Gu Yan around the clock, with an additional 50,000 if they captured evidence of infidelity. You get what you pay for. As soon as I left the detective agency, they were already in position. Gu Yan's car was parked right under Ding Min's rental apartment. I logged into the OnStar navigation system, downloaded nearly a year's worth of driving records. Ding Min's secondary social media account was mostly filled with posts related to Gu Yan. They had steak dinners, kissed on the Ferris wheel, and decorated their cozy little home together. They acted like a married couple to the outside world. There was even an ultrasound report. She wrote, 300 days. And we're having a baby boy. I will definitely be as perseverant and brave as Dad. It took me an entire evening to sort out all the clues. My eyes were sore, but my spirit was exhilarated. My counterattack had begun. Indeed, Gu Yan didn't come back the entire weekend. On Monday, I took his mother to transfer the property. Fortunately, back then she insisted on having her name on the property certificate after seeing my mother's name on it, otherwise, we couldn't have transferred it directly. Before signing, Gu Yan even stepped out to make a phone call. I knew who he was calling. It was the bald man from his mortgage loan. He was probably confirming that as long as the house was transferred to me within the specified time, the debt would naturally become mine too. He signed decisively. My mother-in-law was somewhat reluctant to transfer $2 million into my account, and an auntie who saw the deal immediately questioned me. Selling the Ida Garden house for only $2 million, young lady, you must be mistaken. It's worth $260,000 in the current market. I just smiled. We're all family here, a little discount doesn't matter. The enthusiastic old auntie patted my mother-in-law on the shoulder. Old sister, you've made a great deal here. Do you want it? If not, sell it to me. $2 million is a steal. My mother-in-law immediately pushed her away. Why wouldn't I want it? The bounty stays within the family. The house is mine. She quickly transferred $2 million into the account I provided, noting it as payment for the house. The old auntie winked at me as she left. I thought to myself that the auntie's acting skills were worth way more than 500 yuan, better than many movie stars. In the morning, I sold the house. In the afternoon, we went to file for divorce. Before entering, I tugged at Gu Yan's clothes and whispered, "Ian, I've looked into it. Now, during a divorce, they require a heart-to-heart talk. To ensure we get the certificate without fail, pinch me a couple of times. When we go in, I'll cry and say that you hit me, you gamble and owe money to usurers. I had no choice but to divorce you, and as compensation, you agreed to leave everything to me." Gu Yan, caring about his reputation, was hesitant. I seized the moment to press further. "It's also because I need to buy a house. After the divorce cooling-off period, the policy might change. And it could take 2 years post-divorce to be eligible to buy a house." Just then, Gu Yan's phone rang. He stepped aside to take the call, avoiding me. I quietly listened from behind a flower pot, casually sending messages on my phone. Gu Yan's voice carried over, still deep and cold. "It's being processed. Don't rush me." "What?" "The loan manager said I must be married to get the full loan amount, and with the new policy, for a school district house, the child's residency must be registered at birth." All right, don't cry. I'll handle it immediately. I'll find an excuse to send her away in a bit. You come over then, and we'll pick up the certificate and pay the deposit this afternoon." I slowly smiled, typing on my phone. "No worries. The policy is strict now. You better hurry up." Ding Min was never the brightest. I added her on WeChat under the guise of being the loan manager. Within 2 days, she was frantically ready to proceed. She probably feared Gu Yan might slip away. After all, by her standards, Gu Yan was a top-tier choice. The moment I stepped through the door, I asked Gu Yan, "Will you have regrets?" He paused, then smiled handsomely. "What's there to regret about buying a house?" "Good," I said, sincerely smiling. "I wish you a smooth sailing future." He gave a fake cough. "And to you too." From then on, it was just you and me. Sure enough, the civil affairs officer led us into separate rooms. She sat in front of me, silent. I immediately burst into tears, revealing my bruised arms, appealing for sympathy. "We're all women here, who would want a divorce if they could still bear their life." The officer looked at me, troubled, and asked, "What happened to your hand?" "He did it. Adultery, domestic violence, gambling. He even took my daughter out with his mistress for fun, and she came back sick. My child is my red line. He's nearly gambled away his share of our property, the house my mother bought. His mother sold it for less than market value. Now, I have just one request, a divorce." Moved by my tragic story, the officer's eyes reddened. She soon returned with a document. It was Gu Yan's affidavit. He admitted to domestic violence and taking on high-interest loans which led to our marriage falling apart, agreeing to leave the marriage with nothing. Impressive. The officer hugged me, comforting. "Don't be afraid. Women must bravely say no. The state has your back." I cried genuinely this time. Throughout this turbulent journey, I persevered, but collapsed at a stranger's kindness. "Thank you. Can I add you on WeChat?" The officer smiled. "Of course. You can also reach out if you're feeling down. I'm a psychological counselor here. You'll make it through." When I walked out, Gu Yan looked upset. The divorce certificate was stamped. The marriage certificate was marked as void, one for each of us. And from then on, we went our separate ways, red commemorated by red, heralding a new life. As we left, Gu Yan immediately played the victim. Wife, those staff members were so harsh just now. I pointed towards the marriage registration area. Do you see how joyful the staff there are? He nodded, puzzled. Just a wall apart, left side laughing, right side crying. Love is beautiful, but when it's gone, all that's left is a mess. Gu Yan paced back and forth. A sign of his guilt, which I chose not to point out. What's wrong, Yan? I asked him first, and he sighed in relief. I have to pick someone up shortly. I told them to wait. I'll take you home first. His voice was full of guilt, but the eager tilt of his eyes betrayed him. I can get back by myself. Your work is important. If I didn't leave, how could he get his certificate and pledge his vows to someone else? He watched as I left. Then, I received a message from a private investigator. Arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, followed by a photo. Ding Min wore a red dress, no longer meek, radiating triumphant pride, but her pride shattered at the marriage registration. The staff there mocked them. Wow, divorced in the morning, married in the afternoon, you've mastered seamless transitions. Gu Yan looked embarrassed, while Ding Min was visibly angry. We are here to register our marriage legally and properly. My teacher just scolded me, saying, it's legal and compliant. But it's not ethical. Ding Min, upset, clutched his stomach and looked pitifully at Gu Yan. Ultimately, under Gu Yan's complaints and threats, the Civil Affairs Bureau reluctantly processed their registration. They didn't even offer a congratulatory remark. I received 2 videos, one from a detective, and another from a psychologist. There was also a congratulatory message. Congratulations on your rebirth. Feel free to reach out if you need anything. I replied, thank you, indeed. Trash belongs in the trash bin. Using the name of my loan officer, I shared many posts about the changes in Haicheng real estate in my social circle. Sure enough, Gu Yan called me soon after. Honey, the sales agent at Green Court said that a lot of people are interested in that apartment. I want to secure it now. Can you send me 500,000? 500,000? I don't even have 50. I replied, right away. Then I threw my phone away and sat in a cafe, sipping on a mocha. Watching young couples hand in hand on the street, lovers intimately sharing an ice cream. Love is beautiful, but not at the expense of oneself. Gu Yan grew impatient. His calls followed one after another, his tone somewhat irate. Lin Yang, why haven't you transferred the money? I could also hear a salesperson in the background. Mr. Gu, you better hurry. Several groups are interested in this house. Yen, I forgot this card has a limit and I rushed the password. It got locked. The bank said it will take 5 working days. What about the house then? You still have hundreds of thousands on your card. You secure it first, and when my mom's money comes through, I'll send it all to you. He was a bit impatient. Let's just do that. He thought he had me figured out. Assuming he had succeeded in manipulating me over the years, he had forgotten that I am a wolf in the business world, who once single-handedly dominated the sales in the entire Eastern China region. A wolf doesn't turn into a dog, no matter how much it's fed veggies. It only harbors kindness because of its cubs. I lay on the sofa, casually browsing through Ding Min's alternate account. Sure enough, I saw a real estate sales contract clearly listing Gu Yan and her name. Finally, we have a home together. Then they held hands, unquestionably in love. They even went out for a candlelight dinner, enjoying red wine, steak, and the night view. Utterly content, when Gu Yan came home, his face flushed. Slightly staggering, he suddenly embraced me. Have you been drinking? I frowned slightly, out of character. He loosened his tie and sank into the sofa, no longer hiding his frustrations from over the years. I quietly picked up his clothes, softly and tenderly. I've made a great meal. Let's celebrate. Gu Yan enjoyed my cautiousness. I opened a bottle of high-proof liquor, and the table was set with braised lamb chops, stir-fried leeks with eggs, sautéed conch with meat, and chicken stewed with chestnuts, all of which were incompatible with steak and red wine. Honey, why did you make so many delicious dishes today? I took a sip of the liquor. Yan, we've worked hard for so many years. We finally have a house, a car, and children. You must never leave me. My eyes reddened slightly, a gentle smile on my face. Gu Yan, under my coaxing, drank one glass after another. In the past, I always considered his health and never let him eat heavily at night. Not to mention hard liquor. Last year, his medical report showed poor stomach indicators, and the doctor advised him to take good care of himself to prevent the risk of cancer. Since that day, our dining table at home has been filled with healthy recipes. He switched to a vegetarian diet, and I joined him. He was somewhat downcast because of this. This year, He used overtime as an excuse to indulge with Ding Min. I decided to add fuel to the fire. In the following days, he started coming home later and later. I saw from Ding Min's social media that they were enjoying fine dining and sharing exquisite wines. I responded by sending him various soups and tailor-made dishes. I saw Ding Min's post on social media. Someone's willing to be a free nanny. I'm happy to enjoy it. I smiled lightly. Good for her if she enjoys drinking. Gu Yan hadn't received the money yet, so naturally, he was still eager to please me. I was also willing to play along, every day. I varied the meals I delivered to him. When he came home, I would prepare delicious food for him, occasionally accompanied by a bottle of white liquor, pampering him. Whenever he asked about the money, I excused it as the bank still processing it. To avoid arousing his suspicions, I even transferred 10,000 to him. Recently, I've used the excuse of not feeling well to take a few days off from work. I completely ignored the project that Ding Min was handling, until one day, she called me crying. Sister Lin, you need to come back, there's a problem with the project. It was inevitable that the project would encounter problems. As a junior college graduate, if it wasn't for my support, the project would have failed long ago. I'll be right back. When I arrived at the office, people around me whispered and looked at me strangely. I gave a cold laugh, knowing that what was expected had arrived. As soon as I entered, Ding Min came running out. Her plain features and naturally drooping eyes made her look vulnerable, which easily triggered men's protective instincts. Sister Lin, I didn't mean to mess up the contract. I really just misread it. She had added an extra zero to a contract that was supposed to be for 3 million, turning it into 30 million. This was no minor mistake, it was a colossal blunder. Boss Qin Feng's expression was grim. Lin Yang, come in. He was my senior in college, the year I interviewed. He happened to be starting a business. We shared the same vision and hit it off immediately. I followed him from scratch. It can be said that we complemented each other. In 8 years, I rose from a junior employee to marketing director. Not through connections, but through genuine ability. Even when I was falsely accused of causing a scandal in my previous life, leading to a work mishap, Qin Feng only asked me to take a break at home. He also helped as much as he could with my daughter Yuan's legal case. President Qin Feng, tall and lean, stood by the window, his handsome brows furrowed. Lin Yang, you don't need to plead for Ding Min. She lacks the capability and has caused the company losses. I smiled. I don't plan to plead for her. We are all adults here. I won't take the blame. Qin Feng's brows relaxed. Finally, you're seeing clearly. What about the Suzhou project I mentioned last time? Have you considered it? I'm willing to take it. In my previous life, for the sake of Gu Yan and my daughter, I gave up the Suzhou project. Refusal to become a partner. We shook hands firmly. It's a pleasure working with you, President Lin. The pleasure is all mine, President Qin. Before leaving, I gave him a smile and said, had the security come up, I might need to throw some punches soon. I walked out under Qin's astonished gaze. Passing by the pantry, Fu Chang from the always hostile Division 2 was chatting leisurely with his team members. This time, the intern she brought has messed things up. The Suzhou project will surely go to Director Fu. Fu Chang raised his eyebrows with a smirk. That's not certain, after all. She is President Qin's person, his team member added. She slept her way up. I heard she got divorced because she hooked up with our President Qin. They've been together for a while. The men snickered. She does have a great figure. Wonder how much it would cost to spend a night. You think you're President Qin, he's got the looks and the money. What do you have? I'm good in bed. Haha. I found it utterly ridiculous. I pushed the door open, our eyes met, and I exclaimed in shock, is this true? I didn't even know. Fu Chang tried to play it off. We were just chatting. How can this be just chatting? I didn't know my divorce was because I slept with President Qin. My voice grew loud, attracting the attention of nearby colleagues. Ding Min was the first to rush over. Sister Lin, you got divorced, she shouted, making sure everyone could hear. I grabbed her by the leg and slapped her hard across the face, pointing at her nose as tears streamed down my face. Wasn't it because of you? You slept with my husband, got pregnant with his child, and coerced him into hitting me. We got divorced this morning, and you went to register your marriage in the afternoon. I grabbed her collar and slapped her repeatedly, crying and shouting. You were the only one in the unit who knew about my divorce. Even President Qin didn't know. You deliberately wanted to disgrace me. Before she could react, I pulled out my phone and called the police. I'm reporting this. I've been slandered and assaulted. When Qin walked out, hearing me recount the situation through tears. The faces of Fu Chang and his group turned pale. They denied everything continuously. President Qin, we just talked too much. It's all hearsay. Qin's presence was commanding. Hearsay, from whom? The men started turning on each other, one mentioning chat records, tracing from Division 2 to finance, then from finance to logistics. Finally, the cleaning lady stepped forward, trembling as she pointed at Ding Min, who was crouched on the floor. It was little Ding. I heard her on the phone in the restroom. When she saw me, she made me swear to keep it a secret, mentioning that Director Lin had strong backing with President Qin supporting her. It turned out that Ding Min was the source of the rumors, but in this life, the time and situation did not favor her. I no longer held back, clinging to Qin's sleeve, crying uncontrollably. I said, President Qin. I treated her well despite her seducing my husband and inciting him to hit me. I didn't want to trouble her, but I can't stand us being slandered together. Qin responded, we must investigate thoroughly. The police arrived and took everyone back to the station. When Gu Yan arrived, he looked utterly confused. I had sent my mother-in-law to Yunnan early on. By now, she should be about ready to pawn her bracelet. When Gu Yan saw the dark bruises swelling on Ding Min's face, he didn't approach. Ding Min, feeling wronged, called out to him, Brother Yan. Pretending to be concerned, Gu Yan rushed over to me and asked, Wife, how are you? The police officer looked shocked, probably never having seen such shamelessness before. I waved my arms frantically and shouted, Don't hit me. I've been obedient. We're divorced. Stop hitting me. What are you talking about, wife? After hearing the police's account, his eyes reddened. I didn't hit Lin Yang. Our divorce was fake. I took the opportunity to pull out his marriage certificate with Ding Min, a fake divorce, and a real marriage. The police officer's attitude worsened after seeing the evidence I presented. Lin Yang, are you playing games with me? He charged at me to hit me. I didn't dodge and took a slap squarely. His hands grabbed my neck, his eyes bloodshot with rage, as if he wanted to kill me. Blood trickled from my nose. It didn't hurt. I was even somewhat thrilled, wishing he would slap me again. But the police intervened. The entire police station was outraged that someone would resort to violence here. The police didn't hesitate to handcuff him. With a click, they handcuffed him to a chair. A policewoman handed me an ice pack, and I thanked her carefully and timidly. Miss Lin, is there anything we can do for you? If you want to sue him, we can detain him for intentional injury. I pulled out the divorce agreement. He hasn't paid me a penny in alimony. Upon hearing this, Ding Min immediately stood up. He's Yu's father. If he goes to jail, it will leave a record and affect you too. Plus, your agreement is fake. It was only written for buying a house. It has the Civil Affairs Bureau's seal and a confession he wrote at the bureau. It's all here. I calmly took out all the documents. I am a law-abiding citizen. We are truly divorced, including chat records, hotel records, shopping lists, property transactions, and proof of mortgage payments. Debt acknowledgements. Comrade officer, I've been with him for 12 years. I've maintained his family's ancestral grave, supported his sister's education, and the house under my name was funded by my mother, with the mortgage paid by me. The house, worth $2.5 million in the market, I only asked for $2 million. I haven't taken any undue advantage from him. As the guilty party, I only want my daughter and the alimony, which is 20% of his salary, paid in full, so I have no further dealings with this scum. All evidence showed that I didn't take a single penny more than I deserved from Gu Yan. Over the years, I have fulfilled all my responsibilities as a wife, a daughter-in-law, and a mother. He wronged me. I smiled helplessly. As long as he pays all the alimony in full at once, I won't sue him, and we can go our separate ways. Gu Yan was restrained, his whole person furious, the handcuffs clanging loudly. I just stood aside, expressionless. Ding Min knelt before me, embracing my legs. Sister Lin, it's all my fault. Please don't pressure him. Give us a couple of days. As she played on my emotions, I too began to cry uncontrollably. She shocked everyone around her. I had dedicated myself to my family, laboring to the point of growing white hair. When my daughter was born prematurely and I was being worn down by life, he was enjoying red wine and steak with his mistress, while I only used inexpensive lip balm for my dry lips. He spent thousands on his mistress, buying her bags and cars. For his mistress and the child she carried, he abandoned me, breaking our vows. Ding Min's face turned pale, and cold sweat trickled down her forehead. She clutched her stomach and lunged at me with a fierce look in her eyes. Of course, I couldn't let her frame me. I pretended to cry so hard that I gasped for air and collapsed into the arms of a police officer. Ding Min fell to the ground. I closed my eyes tightly and remained still. Yan Ge, my stomach hurts so much. Ding Min cried. There's so much blood, my child. Gu Yan also shouted desperately, Min Min, amidst the chaos. I lay comfortably in the arms of a policewoman and was placed into an ambulance. The days of intense stress had taken their toll, and I genuinely passed out in the ambulance. When I woke up, it was a phone call that roused me. The caller ID showed it was from Yunnan, and I raised my eyebrows as I answered. It was my mother-in-law's distinct and grating voice. Xiaoyang, I can't reach Gu Yan, come to Yunnan. I chuckled. Mrs. Gu, what happened? You're mad, calling me Mrs. Gu. Then I heard little Wang's voice on the phone. Sister, it's little Wang. Your mother-in-law has smashed a jade bracelet in our shopping mall worth 400,000. She needs to compensate, and she refuses, asking you to bring the money to Yunnan. Little Wang, she's no longer my mother-in-law. I've divorced her son, and all the paperwork is complete. My mother-in-law was still cursing. Lin Yang, are you itching for a beating? I told Gu Yan not to remarry you. Hurry up and bring the money. I laughed heartily. Remarry, he's in jail now, and I despise him for holding back my daughter. What? I seized the opportunity to hang up and sent little Wang a WeChat message. She took her son's credit card with her, with a limit of 500,000, that should cover the compensation. I have no ties with them anymore, let's not stay in touch. Little Wang sent me an understanding okay emoji. I blocked my mother-in-law's phone number and WeChat. Later, the police told me that Ding Min lost her child. She had been taking medication to prevent miscarriage and indulged in a diet rich in meats and other heat-producing foods during the summer, which led to unstoppable bleeding following a miscarriage. The miscarriage wasn't properly managed, resulting in an infection. She would not be able to conceive in the future. That's good, a person of such low integrity shouldn't have descendants. If it were a son, he'd just be another Gu Yan. If it were a daughter, it would just be another tragedy. At the flower shop, I bought a bouquet of perfume lilies and walked into the hospital room. Ding Min, looking haggard, sat at the head of the bed. I placed the flowers in a vase and picked up a knife to peel an apple for her. It took her a while to notice me. With a hoarse voice and fierce eyes, she said, Lin Yang, everything you have should have been mine, everything I have. I earned through my own efforts. I don't need to rely on a man. I excelled academically and was raised to be a person of integrity. My parents taught me to respect and love myself as a girl, ensuring my values were without flaw. I would never intentionally provoke anyone if they were honest and did not scheme against me. However, I clearly dreamed that I would marry him. We would have a big house, and a son. She kept touching her stomach, calling out to her son. I sighed. You had the chance to escape your toxic family, but you chose the easy way out. Several men and women burst into the hospital room. One man leaped forward, grabbed Ding Min's hair, and slapped her, shouting, worthless girl, how dare you get married without bringing the dowry back home? Min, I heard that the guy is really wealthy, give your brother 200,000 for his wedding. Another added, big sister, you're so foolish, how could you sleep with him for nothing? Cries and curses filled the air. Hospital security rushed in. I wiped the knife clean with a tissue, gently placed it on an apple, set it on the bedside table, and silently left the room. As I stepped out of the hospital, police sirens began to blare outside. Did you hear? There was a murder in the maternity ward on the 5th floor. A woman stabbed her brother. I looked up at the sky, where sunlight peeked through the clouds and warmed me. Later, Gu Yan, through the police, offered me 1.5 million to write a letter of forgiveness. I wrote it because he is the father of my daughter, and I didn't want him to have a criminal record that could affect her future. Besides, he didn't have many good days left. Before we fell out, I took him for a medical checkup. I just received the report. It showed his cancer markers had increased 5-fold. He had stomach bleeding, inflammation, and mild liver damage. He said betraying Lin Yang meant a bad end. Now his curse had come true. People really shouldn't make thoughtless vows. Later, Gu Yan kept trying to see me, but I refused. Who would want to see him? He sent one emotional message after another. Yang, my dearest, I love you the most. I was wrong. Please forgive me. I just made a mistake any man could make. I'll transfer the old house to you. Let's be a family again. Shall we remarry? I blocked and deleted him immediately. The private detective was diligent, keeping watch 24/7 during the contract period. He later informed me Gu Yan's mother was escorted back from Yunnan after she realized the card used to pay off the 400 000 bracelet she smashed was Gu Yan's. She regretted her purchase immediately, causing a scene and kicking the shop owner's decorative cabbage at the entrance. It was worth 500,000. She was stunned and was escorted back from Yunnan. After all, she still had a property worth 2.5 million in her name. To avoid prison, Gu Yan took out a private mortgage loan of 1 million to settle my daughter's alimony. The deposit for the new house was lost, and when he went to demand a refund, security kicked him out. With no other options, he listed the house online. Meanwhile, his mother made a trip to Yunnan, and directly for 1 million, Ding Min stabbed her brother to death and then suffered a mental breakdown, ending up in a psychiatric hospital. In a moment of utter desperation, Gu Yan thought of me. I'm no fool, and as a private detective, I gleefully collected the remaining fee and gave a thumbs up. Awesome. As he was leaving, the private detective shared some news with a smile. Another piece of good news, sister. Gu Yan was beaten up by loan sharks, vomited blood right there and had to be rushed to the hospital. The doctors said his benign tumor got ruptured during the beating, and now there's no saving him. I laughed so hard. Tears streamed down my face. It seemed even fate didn't want him to live any longer. I packed up all my luggage, and Qin Feng drove me to the airport. He stood there, hand in his pocket, trying to look cool. Lin Yang, have a smooth journey. I smiled, handed him the documents the detective had given me and spread my hands. As your partner, I might have to trick you one more time. He shook the document folder lightly, happy to help, but let's not make this a habit. The folder contained information about Gu Yan illegally selling company data. The plane landed in Sioux City. Yuan ran towards me, holding my mom's hand. When she saw me, she dashed over quickly. I embraced her tightly, kissing her rosy cheeks. Mommy, Yuan missed you so much. I like it here. I like Grandma and Grandpa. Can we stay here forever? Sure, we'll never leave. This is our home now. In the evening, I held Yuan as I read her a fairy tale, and so the little prince finally found his beloved rose. Yuan, hugging her teddy bear, gave me a kiss, then kissed the bear. Mommy, Yuan had another dream. She looked at me expectantly. I played along. Was it a nice dream? Yes, a beautiful one. The bear said it made a mistake. Yuan should live happily with Mommy forever, so to fix its mistake, it turned grandfather time's clock.